You ever notice how the people who call themselves responsible are often the ones who feel the most trapped? Here's the uncomfortable part. Most of what you call responsibility is actually fear wearing a nicer outfit. You follow rules you didn't create. You make choices you never questioned. You avoid risks you've never actually evaluated. And the scariest part, you think that makes you smart. But what if it's the very thing holding you in the middle-class mindset forever? 1. The safe choice that isn't actually safe. Most people grow up believing the safest path is the most responsible one. A predictable job, predictable routine, predictable identity. But predictability doesn't create safety. It creates dependence. Your comfort becomes your cage. Stickman chooses the safe lane and never realizes he traded uncertainty for immobility. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Your brain confuses familiar with safe, so anything unfamiliar gets labeled dangerous, even if it's the thing that would give you more agency. Most people aren't responsible, they're just scared, but with paperwork. But this isn't the real trap, not by a long shot. 2. The identity loop that keeps you obedient. You grew up hearing words like, be realistic, be careful, be responsible. You weren't taught adulthood, you were taught compliance. So your identity calcified around not disappointing people. Stickman doesn't choose based on desire, he chooses based on who he's afraid to upset. Parents, co-workers, old teachers, the invisible panel of judges. Most people never notice this part. Your identity becomes a script. A responsible person would do X, not because X is right, but because X keeps you acceptable. You don't behave responsibly, you perform responsibility. But performing comes with a hidden cost. One you feel every time you say, I guess this is good enough. 3. The middle-class definition of success is built on fear. Middle-class success isn't about freedom, it's about risk avoidance. Everything is measured by, will this keep things stable? Will this keep things predictable? Will this keep me from failing publicly? That fear turns your life into a maintenance job. You aren't building anything. You're just preventing collapse. Stickman is constantly managing life, but never expanding it. Here's the twist most people never see. You weren't raised to create opportunity. You were raised to avoid embarrassment. Your version of responsibility is just fear that learned good manners. The middle class doesn't chase freedom, they chase permission. But even this isn't the core trap. There's a deeper one hiding underneath everything you do. Here's the perspective shift you weren't expecting. You didn't choose responsibility. Responsibility was chosen for you. Your entire adult identity is shaped by childhood instructions you never consciously updated. 4. Comfort becomes the new scarcity. Most people think scarcity is about lacking money. It isn't. Scarcity is a nervous system pattern. So even when life gets comfortable, your brain keeps acting like you're one wrong move away from collapse. Stickman has stability, but still, overthinks every decision, fears judgment, avoids risk, and obsesses over appearing responsible. Why? Because internally he's still surviving. Your nervous system doesn't upgrade when your income does. If you grew up with psychological scarcity, comfort doesn't feel safe. It feels suspicious. But the next part is what locks people into the middle class permanently. 5. Responsibility becomes a shield from desire. Here's the hidden truth. People don't cling to responsibility because it's right. They cling to it because it protects them from wanting things they're afraid they can't have. So you avoid ambition, not because you're mature, but because ambition threatens your emotional equilibrium. Stickman tells himself, I don't need more. I should be grateful. I'm doing the responsible thing. But internally, he's terrified of being seen wanting more. This is the part people rarely admit. Responsibility becomes a socially acceptable disguise for self-limitation. People don't fear failure, they fear wanting something enough to risk it. But even this isn't the root. The real trap is much quieter. 6. You confuse obligation with virtue. You believe responsibility makes you a good person. That's the middle-class trap, equating self-sacrifice with moral superiority. So you keep choosing the path that feels dutiful, even when it kills your creativity, shrinks your optionality, and erases your actual interests. Stickman avoids possibility to maintain the image of someone who does things the right way. But here's where it gets painful. Deep down, you're scared that without responsibility, you won't know who you are. Your entire sense of self is built on pleasing, complying, managing, and not being too much. When responsibility becomes your identity, freedom feels like danger. But there's still one level deeper. 7. You mistake familiar stress for maturity. You think the stress you carry makes you responsible, but really, it just makes you predictable. You normalize exhaustion. You normalize self-denial. You normalize a life built around managing expectations. Stickmin thinks being overwhelmed is part of being an adult, but it's just part of being conditioned. And here's the real twist. You don't avoid freedom because it's risky. You avoid it because it's unfamiliar. Your brain chooses the stress it understands over the freedom it can't predict. Maturity isn't stress tolerance, it's identity awareness. You don't feel free, even with more money, because your identity never updated. You're still running the survival habits you built when you had nothing. Your environment changed, but your internal rules didn't. You still measure life with old metrics, chase control, avoid ease, and recreate the same pressure you grew up inside. That's why money feels like more options, but not actual freedom. Real freedom isn't income. It's a nervous system that stops expecting scarcity. It's beliefs that match your current reality, not your past one. Until you change the identity that survived the struggle, you'll keep living like you're still in it. So here is the takeaway you probably didn't expect, and the part most people don't want to face. You're not stuck because of money, you're stuck because of identity. Responsibility isn't the problem. The version of responsibility you inherited is. So, here's the question I'll leave you with, the one only you can answer. Which responsible belief in your life was actually just fear that learned good behavior? Drop it in the comments. I'm curious which part of your identity you're finally ready to question. Stickmin out.